It's not the beauty of a building you should look at. It's the construction of the foundation that will stand the test of time. David Allen Coe. Welcome, and I'm so glad that you're here. Here we talk about personal development, relationships, and mental health, just to name a few. My name is Carmen, a registered counsellor who is passionate about coming alongside people. This podcast is designed to create a discussion and bring awareness around what matters most in life, and that includes you. The goal is that each episode will leave you feeling encouraged, equipped, and empowered so you can live your best life. Let's get started. Hello, and how are you? Welcome to the very first of its kind. This special edition is where we, everyday people, share valuable lessons and ideas that we have learnt along the way. Joining me on this week's episode is Chad Sultana. Chad is a young and passionate digital marketing strategist who loves creative thinking, problem solving, and goofing around. Chad believes having a well thought out purpose and intention is the ultimate key to making a difference to others and himself. Chad thinks being self-aware, acknowledging your flaws, and having the right mindset are crucial foundations to making a real difference. Thank you for being here, Chad, and I'm so glad that you could join us for this week's episode. Was there anything else that you would like us to know about you?
Well, firstly, I'd like to say thanks for having me here, Carmen. It's an honour to have, me as a special guest on your podcast. So, another thing to know about me is I'm very passionate about the things I do. I mean, I did mention that in my bio. But I'm also passionate about people who do something for a social or environmental cause, which is, my own business, doing digital marketing. I love to work with people in sustainability and people who sell like eco-friendly products because it's very purpose-driven, which is hence why I love it.
So if you could tell us a little bit more about when you started your business and when you started to discover your passion for the eco-friendly market.
Yeah, so I think it kind of started towards the end of 2019 once I finished up and graduated with school. I had the honour to work with a business called Uplift Fair Trade, and that's kind of what they're about. And as I was there, I kind of noticed that this is something I kind of enjoyed, but I never really thought about pursuing that to a few months later where I realized that, I can do this and help consult other companies do this too. So that's kind of, what I feel like I want to do for the next few years. And again, it's kind of this purpose-driven thing. So that's kind of where I'm trying to put my focus to.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And as a side note, I've, seen you grow within your business and just you dreaming out loud and sharing your ideas, and it's been something really special to see you grow within your passion and all things business and all things purpose. As I was preparing for this episode, I had a look at your website, and one of them read, "Setting the right foundations for growth." It struck a chord with me because the right foundation for anything is essential if we're going to withstand the test of time. So I thought I could pick your brain around that, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I guess setting the right foundations for growth, I think that for me, it's coming into terms with who I am and what I believe. So I try to understand my values and intention in everything I do. But at the same time, I realize that this is an evolving process, whilst understanding this process kind of doesn't end. So for me, I see it's not a realization, it's a journey.
That's great. And if we could just stop there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's so important to understand what you do value, because if you don't, then what direction are you going towards? And it's that intention, it's being intentional. And you talk about that it's a journey, and it's so true. And it's when you understand that concept that it takes the pressure off, that you can enjoy the journey. It's not, waiting for the one day when or expecting to have it, all down pat straight away. So, yeah, if you could share more about, what the foundations for growth are for you.
Yes, absolutely. So one thing I'd like to point out is being self-aware, and also, when you're self-aware, you're understanding your weaknesses or flaws. So for me, it's not about lessening the amount of like negative experiences or hardships that happen in my life. I think that it's rather about coping with and overcoming those challenges. At least that's what I think that growth is like for me.
Yeah, what a great thought, that it's not about lessening the amount of negative experiences and hardships because that's so beyond our control. But it sounds like it's how you choose to turn up when there are hardships.
Yes.
Okay, so my next question for you, Chad. Without purpose or vision, we can lose sight of our why. So how has being purpose-driven changed your life?
Yeah, great question, Carmen. So I want to live for something. Like, for me, I like to see myself useful somewhere. And even better, it's better for me just making some sort of impact. I love having some sort of impact. Just, that's kind of a role I love to play, having an impact. So I always have this itch to seek some sort of constant improvement. So without purpose or vision, I think I'd be lost.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I guess from my end, I remember a time where I felt like I was just existing, or maybe it was just surviving another day. And having a purpose changed my life in such a way that it empowered me to keep turning up and going beyond what I thought I was capable of. And I guess that's where you say that you have that itch to always seek that constant improvement. It keeps you moving. It doesn't keep you stuck. I need to remind myself that it's not just about me, and to keep pushing past those barriers, because we don't always know who's on the other side of our choices and our decisions. And, you know, a great example for me is when I see clients break through their barriers, and it sounds like your heart and your passion for sustainability and just changing the way that things are currently made. It's that impact that it goes beyond just our lives and it affects others. Okay, so I have another question for you. Is it okay to keep them rolling?
Yes, keep it going. Yep.
Okay, excellent. So in your bio, it mentions acknowledging your flaws. And on your website, you talk about businesses and organizations being the real deal. What can that look like?
I think that whether owning a business or even just being a person, I think having flaws and expressing those flaws, I think, is core to what makes us who we are. So I think authenticity is a huge part of it. And again, from my experience, acknowledging, our flaws means we know what needs fixing. So if we are acknowledging our flaws, we are essentially improving things, right? That's growth. So I guess also to, sum this all up, it's, having that authenticity and having something to work towards, having some sort of passion is what makes things the real deal.
And I appreciate when you say that when we express those flaws, it makes us who we are. And there's a sense that we can turn up just the way we are, and also being mindful of opportunities for growth. And I think it's so important, especially with social media, which I'm totally for. And I wonder what it would look like if we didn't feel the pressure to turn up a certain way, that we could just be ourselves.
Yep, definitely.
What could prevent someone from being true to who they are?
Yeah, so it kind of relates to what you were saying before, I guess. Sometimes social media is a big part of it. And that kind of, stems from the concept of having expectations. So there's, society and also yourself. I think that as humans, well, for me at least, it's easy to get into a hole of perfectionism, making sure it's 100% right. But the truth is, you can't really get something 100% right. So often when that happens, for me, I sometimes feel like I'm a fraud, I shouldn't be doing this. Who am I to do what I'm doing? Yeah, so with that said, I think it's more important to strive for progress over perfection. Because like what I was saying before, nothing can be 100% perfect. What do you think, Carmen?
I like the idea, and I appreciate that it's progress over perfection, because perfection can stop us from making any progress, because like you're saying, we're never going to get it 100%, and it can rob us from even just having a go. And sometimes it's when we feel like we're failing is when we're actually learning. So yeah, brilliant. I love that thought.
Mm-hmm.
So I have one more question for you. And if you could go back in time, what is one piece of advice or insight you would give yourself?
Okay. I would probably say it's okay to feel uncomfortable. Even though I should try to make the best decisions I can, mistakes are part of the journey. Growth isn't a short-term thing, it's long-term. And sometimes patience is the key. So I guess that's probably what I would say to my younger self. Even though I am young, it would definitely come in handy for my younger self.
Mm-hmm. So your younger self.
My younger self, yes.
Yep. And sometimes I think, it's good to go back and think, what would I say to my younger self? Because we see how far we've come, and it's okay to feel uncomfortable. Because if we rely on feeling comfortable, I wonder if we'll ever accomplish anything.
Yeah.
Like I remember starting the podcast, for example, and I was so uncomfortable and it was such a new venture, but there was something in me that, I just wanted to start and share with whoever would be willing to listen. And out of that, it's just been such a great journey. And, even sharing this space with you and you being the first guest on the podcast, and it's really special and something that I'll always remember. So on a finishing note, setting the right foundations for growth starts with us as individuals. It can look like establishing our purpose, being true to ourselves, and developing self-awareness. It's ownership of our behaviour and mindset, which can sometimes feel like a never-ending battle, but a necessary one if we're going to grow. It is facing the truth about ourselves, from our flaws to our brilliance, and accepting that both can coexist. To learn more about Chad, you can find his details in this episode's show notes. Chad, it's been an absolute pleasure to have shared this time with you. I look forward to seeing what the road ahead looks like for you and all the different things that you're involved in. So thank you for joining Chad and I. We would love to hear if there was anything in this episode that was of value to you. Don't be a stranger. Wishing you a great rest of the day. And until next time, take care. So that's it for today's episode. And as always, I am grateful for the opportunity to come alongside you. If you know someone who might benefit from hearing this episode, why not share it with them? And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. For more content or to learn about the services I provide, head over to carmendebono.com.au, and I look forward to coming alongside you again next Wednesday.